I remember thinking distinctly, oh, first moon landing, be the beginning of a whole new era. And I'm sure I was not alone with those thoughts. But because I was certain, as was everyone else, that it was the beginning of an era, I didn't jump for joy or do somersaults. I just said, it's the beginning. So there we were anticipating the moon landing. Then you watch the moon landing, and then you reflect on the moon landing, and as time moved on, it never kept happening. It was just there, now receding in the past. And had I known that our first steps on the moon would essentially be our last steps on the moon, I would have done somersaults. I would have said, oh my gosh. And when I reflect on that era, and I look at how hopeful people were about our future in space, in retrospect, it's clear as day that there was a disconnect between why we were going into space and why people thought we were going into space. We were going into space because we were at war with the Soviet Union. War drives the flow of money like no other force of nature. And it cost a lot of money to go to the moon. So in that regard, it kind of helped that we were at war with the Soviet Union. It enabled Congress to write checks that they wouldn't otherwise have written. So what happens? We beat the Soviet Union to the moon. Checks stop getting written. All right. Mars gets farther away. Mars recedes, which was the natural next step. If exploration was just a natural thing that we did as Americans, we would have been on Mars by the early 1980s. The 1960s is probably the most turbulent decade in American history since the Civil War of the 1860s. And so in that decade, we embark upon the greatest epic adventure the species has ever undertaken. And the juxtaposition of those two, in my mind and my heart, is a remarkable, it's a remarkable thing. The fact that in 1968, the first mission to leave low Earth orbit, that was Apollo 8. That's a forgotten mission. They didn't land on the moon, but they left Earth. No one had ever left Earth before. They left Earth and then turned the camera back towards Earth. And for the first time, there it was, Earth. No national boundaries drawn, no sense or awareness that there are warring nations down there, just this beautiful blue marble ball adrift in space. Why do we celebrate the Saturn V rocket, the mightiest rocket ever launched? The rocket that took humans to the moon. We celebrate it as much as we do because we haven't done anything better than it since. Had we done better things than it since, we would dust it off, put it in the corner of a museum and say, wasn't that cute? Look at how they got to the moon back then. Whatever is the metric of the advance of technology as a means of getting us into space, it hasn't happened since the Saturn V rocket, and that was 40 years ago. So that should be an embarrassment to us as a nation. And so, yeah, we should celebrate. No taken away from that achievement. But at some point, you should take pause and say, how come I'm not celebrating something else that should have happened since then? I think that's where your emotions should be placed. Yeah, cut the cake and enjoy the champagne. But at the end of the day, ask yourself, what does this mean? What does this mean for America? What does it mean for exploration? That we're here on this speck we call Earth. The day you stop that enterprise, I fear for the future of the species, because it's that which distinguishes humans from all other animals. That we explore and understand what it is we're doing while we're at it, and expand our place in the cosmos. If that stops, I don't want to live in those times. Put me back at another time. Or put me in the future when people relearn what exploration is all about. Or dare I say, allow me to look over the shoulder in other countries, because other countries are doing that now. We're going to stand on our shore and say, hey, take us with you. You're going to Mars. You know, that's not America. That's the America I grew up in. It's not the America any of us wants. That's some other kind of America. If I had a nickel for every time someone said, why are we spending money up there when we have problems down here? And I think about if you're only looking down, one day the asteroid's coming, you know, but I'm just looking down here, I'm fine. You know, at some point you gotta look up. And so what worries me is that if you take away the manned program, a program which if you advance frontiers, heroes are made, okay? There's a force operating on the educational pipeline that will stimulate the formation of scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and technologists, the STEM research fields. You birth these people into society. They're the ones that make tomorrow come. The foundations of economies in this, the 21st century, will issue forth from investments we make in science and technology. That we've known since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. We have known that those nations that embrace those investments are those that lead the world. America is fading right now. Fading. By the way, how much does NASA cost? It's a half a penny on a dollar. Did you know that? The people who say, why are we spending money up here, down? I ask them, how much do you think we're spending? They say 5 cents, 10 cents on a dollar. It's a half a penny. A half a penny. That buys the space station, the space shuttles, all the NASA centers, the rovers, the Hubble telescope, all the astronauts, all of that. Nobody's dreaming about tomorrow anymore. NASA knows how to dream about tomorrow. If the funding can accommodate it, the funding can empower it, the funding can enable it. It's about the effect of NASA on who and what we are as a nation, what we have been as a nation, perhaps for a while there took it for granted. I see the most powerful particle accelerator in some other country, the fastest trains are built by Germany and are running in China right now. I see our infrastructure collapsing, no one dreaming about tomorrow, and everybody thinks they can put a Band-Aid on one problem or another. The most powerful agency on the dreams of a nation is currently underfunded to do what it needs to be doing. And that's making dreams come true. And at a half a penny on a dollar, how much would you pay for the universe?